Russia has launched a new wave of missiles at the Ukrainian port city of Odesa. This came hours before a planned summit between Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Belarusian ally Alexander Lukashenko, where they are expected to discuss deepening their military alliance. Ukraine's army said one person was killed and nearly 20 others injured in the overnight attack, including 4 children. Odesa's Transfiguration Cathedral was badly damaged in the raid. Russia has repeatedly attacked their strategic port city since Moscow pulled out of a grain export deal last week.
Rubble inside Odesa's largest Orthodox cathedral, which was among the targets of fresh Russian strikes on the port city. Overnight shelling has severely damaged Odesa's historical center, designated as an endangered World Heritage by UNESCO.
The destruction is enormous. Half of the cathedral was left without a roof, and the central piles and foundation were destroyed. All the windows and stucco molding were blown out. There was a fire. The part where icons and candles are sold in the church caught fire. It was all on fire, burning. I was the first to come in, but after the air raid was over, the emergency services arrived, and thank God, they put it all out.
Ukrainian officials say these strikes destroyed several residential buildings, leaving many people trapped in their apartments. They also caused damage to power lines.
We were sleeping with our child on the bed when we suddenly jumped from the explosion. We live near the cathedral. We flew up, ran to the toilet and hid. Then there was another explosion. The house was shaking. Then I went outside. I thought maybe someone needs help.
In recent days, Russia has increased its attacks on Odesa's port infrastructure. It comes after President Vladimir Putin refused to renew a deal which allowed the safe export of grain from Ukraine's Black Sea ports. After Saturday night's missile attacks, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky vowed to retaliate.
And for more, let's bring in Marina Myron, a military analyst at King's College, London. Welcome to the program. Marina, Moscow has stepped up attacks on Odesa since Russia withdrew from the grain deal. What is Moscow attempting to achieve?
Good morning, Aaron. Well, on the one hand, the way Russia argues is it's a retribution for the attack on the Kerch Bridge. And we have to go back a little bit to the very beginning of the conflict. And the idea was last year for Russia to gain control of all Ukrainian ports and to control access to the Black Sea. So I think pulling out of the grain deal now gives Russia the opportunity or the excuse to attack Odesa in order to try to isolate Ukraine and make it landlocked. And it has several layers of implications, not least for Russia's own grain exports and for tightening grip on African countries by Russia.
After the latest attacks, Ukraine renewed its call for more missile and defense systems from its Western allies. Do you think they're likely to get them?
It is possible that Ukraine will get more air defense systems. The problem is, however, what types of missiles will be used by Russia on the one hand. The other problem is where those air defense systems will be located, because you cannot put them all over to blanket an entire territory of Ukraine. And the third problem that we're facing is missiles for those systems that also need to be delivered. And so there are these moving parts where it's not sure which countries will be delivering systems and whether there is enough missiles for Ukraine to be delivered at this point in time. So we might be seeing Russia exploiting this gap.
All right, and given the current Russian aggression, rather unsurprisingly, Zelensky said that Ukraine will intensify its attacks on Russian targets in the coming days. Have we seen any evidence of that so far?
Well, we have seen attacks on the ammunition depot in Crimea yesterday morning, or rather night. It is possible that Ukraine would intensify attacks. However, we have to separate what is political rhetoric from actual military plans. And I think that the military leadership of Ukraine knows not to warn about possible attacks as to be able to achieve a strategic surprise. So it remains to be seen what happens. But Russia will certainly be on alert.
All right, that was Maria Miron, a military analyst at King's College London. Thank you very much for your analysis.
Thank you for having me.